ask Dick Levinsky to say a few words in honor of Norm Vlass.
Norm Vlass is my friend. He was my mentor. He was my sponsor in Rotary. And he was one of the best role models I could ever imagine for my life. I met Norm in 1968, which was a long time ago. He was hired by HP at that time, and I was working at HP, and that was my first chance to meet him. Norm was born just west of Boston. Many of you may not have known that. And in fact, growing up in Boston, he kind of talked like a Kennedy. Had the same accent. Couldn't pronounce R's where they were supposed to be, put them in where they weren't supposed to be. But he was from Boston. He went to school there. He grew up in Boston. And many of you probably don't know this either, but when he graduated from high school, he actually had a scholarship from Harvard University to play football. But one of his high school teachers convinced him that he should come west, sent him out to Colorado Aggies in Fort Collins, and he went to college there. That's where he got his bachelor's degree. Of course, passing up the scholarship, he was a little bit tight on cash, so he had to take on a few jobs, and as I understand it, worked on many different things at CSU, and one of which was in the kitchen staff at one of the sorority houses. And coincidentally, that's where he met his wife, Phyllis. He told me after that was about the time that he lost his Boston accent. Apparently, and I can't believe that this would be true, but apparently the girls in the sorority kidded him a lot about his accent, and he really took a major effort, as you all may know. At least in my mind, there's no sign of a Boston accent as he was speaking recently, at least. So he did get away with that, completely got rid of the Boston accent. He graduated from CSU, or Aggies at the time, joined the Marines, spent 3 years in the Marines, and as I understand it, the weekend that he graduated from college, he graduated, he joined the military, became a second lieutenant in the military, and got married to Phyllis, all on the same weekend. After he completed his 3 years of military service, he went into work into the chemical business. He had jobs in California and Washington. And as I said, in 1968, he was hired by HP in Loveland here. He came to Loveland to live. He was part of the first wave of people we hired in the computer business. At that time, we were working on a desktop computer. By the way, I worked at HP as well, you probably knew. But anyway, we were working on a desktop computer the size of an IBM typewriter. Anybody know what an IBM typewriter is? About the size of an IBM typewriter was a desktop, we called it a calculator at the time, a 9100. He was hired to work on that. Shortly after that, he went into HP's first business with a handheld calculator, the HP 35 and the HP 80, and basically spent his whole career at HP working in the computer end of things. He had worked in marketing, worked in human relations, and a very strong contributor into that kind of a business. After retiring from HP, he went to work for CSU. I think he worked with Jim McCambridge fairly closely. Jim became a professor at CSU. I guess I didn't mention he did get his master's degree, by the way, from CSU as well. I forget exactly when, around 1970, but for that effort, he and I were both part of a kind of a catalyst program where CSU came down to HP and actually offered classes on the HP campus in business. So he got his master's degree as well as myself through that on-site education program that CSU put together. But he did get his master's degree and then got hired by CSU to become a teacher. He was an excellent teacher, excellent communicator. And in the 1992-93 season, he was awarded the Professor of the Year award. It was only 2 years after he started there, so he was awarded Professor of the Year at CSU. He also worked during that time consulting with businesses, worked with many small businesses in the area. He had an emphasis on Christian companies. He wanted to work with Christian companies and help them put together the business plans, marketing plans, forecasts that they could do to become successful in that. As was mentioned, Ted mentioned, Phyllis and Norm, Phyllis, again, Norm's wife, were the key catalyst to start the Relay for Life. in the year 2000. Norm's family had experienced some cancer situations. Phyllis had it. Norm's daughter had cancer. And so they became very interested in that, and that was the reason that they started the Relay for Life. They just completed their 11th year this past year. First year, I understand they raised about $57,000, $53,000, and last year I understand that the amount was over $157,000. So he was a key part of that. In fact, the American Cancer Society awarded Norm in 2001 the Hope Award for the work that he had done in getting that started. Norm's church and his faith was very strong in his life, and he's always been a key contributor in that. Very strong emphasis in that. Norm is survived by his wife Phyllis, his 3 children. He has 2 sons, Brian and Glenn, and a daughter, Sharon. There will be, again, as Ted mentioned, the service is tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock at the Life Spring Covenant Church, which is over by Thompson Valley over here. And there will be a viewing at Kibbe Fishburne, I believe, beginning at 5 o'clock this evening for any of you that would like to go there. So could we take a moment and remember Norm? Thank you very much.